Hey, what's up you guys? My name is Tyler Rugge. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I wanted to respond to a video that was just recently posted by Jennifer Lynx, formerly known as Solid Gold Aquatics here on YouTube. She posted a video titled "The Problem with Pettube, 100 Pets." She talks about what she believes is a big issue in the Pettube community and people posting content with a lot of animals. And although I do think she had good points in her video and good intentions, I did want to respond to it. One of the biggest reasons why I felt the need to respond to it was because she used thumbnails from my videos in her video as examples to kind of prove her point about issues with Pettube. And of course, not a lot of people can relate to owning a lot of animals. I think I have a different perspective on this issue than a lot of people. Also, if you haven't seen Jenny's video on this topic, then I will link it down below. Please go watch it before you watch my video because I'm probably not going to go over every little point she makes in her video. And I don't want it to seem like I'm purposefully excluding anything. I just can't, say word for word every little thing she said. So I'd rather you just went and watched her video and then came back and watched my video so you could kind of get your own opinion on the topic and then also see my perspective afterwards. I did leave a comment on her video just kind of mentioning my general opinion on it, and I also reached out to her personally and had a very short conversation because I did want to reach out to her personally and just let her know how I felt. Just because my video thumbnails were used in her video, I felt the need to kind of respond and just give you guys my point of view, my perspective on this, and just explain my intentions with my videos and just on this topic in general, because I do feel like her video paints me as well as a lot of other creators she used as an example in a pretty negative light, and I don't think it accurately portrays Pettube very well. But I wanted to start out with, she did mention in the beginning of her video, she said she wasn't going to call out anyone specifically. She did pretty much a couple minutes after saying she didn't want to call out anyone specifically. She did include thumbnails from my videos, Maddie's videos, and a few other creators' videos as examples of what she was talking about, which was people who post videos with a large number in it to describe the amount of animals that they have.
What I'm not going to be doing in this video is calling out any one person specifically, although I'm not saying I would never do that. That's just really not what this video is for.
Moments later.
Videos that are titled like all my pets and then in parentheses it'll say 60 plus animals, like
And in my opinion, even if you say you're not calling out anyone specifically, if you're going to specifically put videos and thumbnails from other creators on your video as an example, what you're pretty much doing is calling out specific people and saying, you're what I'm talking about. It's kind of like saying, no offense, but, and then saying something that's offensive. Like, just because you say you're not doing something, if you do it, you do it. And you are calling people out and kind of criticizing us, even if you say you're not. Which is fine. I mean, it's completely in her right to criticize people, to say her opinion, and speak on the topic, and do all of those things. Like, that's not anything that I have an issue with. But it just rubbed me the wrong way that she's trying to make it seem like she's not really calling anyone out, when in reality she is. So it's like, if you're going to criticize me or anyone else, just say it. Just say you're criticizing us. Like, it's fine. Just say it as it is. What you also mentioned in your video is that you wanted to start a conversation about this. So this is just me adding to that conversation and giving my perspective on it. And I also want to say that I am a fan of Jenny. I do love her videos. I've been watching them, and I don't have an issue with her as a person, and this isn't in any way me trying to attack her. Like, I really do not have an issue with her. I think she is really nice. I think she has really good intentions, and I don't think she was actually coming from a bad place with making this video, but it did rub me and some other people the wrong way, and I just wanted to, again, give my perspective on it since I was shown in the video. One thing I really didn't like was that she said that we are promoting and glamorizing animal hoarding.
So the first thing I've noticed is that sometimes I feel like Pettube has the effect of glamorizing or glorifying animal hoarding.
Now, she didn't specifically call me or anyone else an animal hoarder, but that's something that I'm called a lot, is an animal hoarder, and that bothers me a lot. And it also really bothered me that she pretty much alluded to the fact that she thinks that we are promoting animal hoarding, because hoarding is quite literally, if you want to know the actual definition of what hoarding is, someone who's a hoarder has a mental health disorder. Like, that's what hoarding is it's a mental health disorder. And to just call someone a hoarder, it's really undermining a mental health issue and just puts a stigma on it. And to me, it's very similar to people saying they have OCD because they like things organized, or saying that they have PTSD because of some like minor inconvenience that happened to them. Although, of course, me and a lot of other creators do have a lot of animals, and we maybe do get animals more frequently than your average person. We are not by any means animal hoarders, because our animals are all really well taken care of, or at least I can speak for myself on this. My animals are all well taken care of. They get vet care. They're in above minimum enclosures with a lot of enrichment, and I am constantly making changes to my animal care and trying to shift things and just improve, because standards for animal care in general is constantly improving as we're learning more and more about these animals. So I wouldn't consider myself an animal hoarder, first of all, but also I've not been diagnosed as having that disorder. So I just think people should be more thoughtful with the words they choose to use. And you can say that you don't like it when people have a lot of animals. You can say you don't like it when people make content with a lot of animals, but you shouldn't tell someone that they're an animal hoarder, the same way you shouldn't diagnose any other sort of mental health disorder. Again, she didn't specifically say, I'm an animal hoarder, but she said that that's something that I was promoting, which I strongly disagree with. Because although I do make all my pets videos, 50 plus or whatever, I always put a disclaimer in there that's like, hey, just so you know, I have a lot of animals because I am capable of doing so, but I wouldn't recommend this to most people. Like, I make it very clear, this is not something I'm trying to promote.
I want to put a disclaimer in here that in no way am I trying to encourage anyone to obtain a large amount of animals like I have. I work from home full time, and I am super, super passionate about keeping these animals. It's like my full-time job and hobby. I do my best to give them all the best lives they can possibly have. And because I work from home and my life is pretty much dedicated to these animals, I have enough time to take care of all of them, whereas your average person probably wouldn't. But if any animals I have spark interest in you and you are interested in owning them, I do highly encourage you to do a ton of research, obviously, before getting any of these animals. I don't want to encourage anyone to get a bunch of animals like I have, basically, because it's not for everyone, but they're my entire life. So I love sharing my love for my animals with you guys here on my channel.
My whole intention with those videos, and the reason I make those videos, is just to show everyone everything that I have, because people want to see all my animals in one video, just so they can like have a mental note of everything that I have, because I do have a lot. I've been doing those videos since I started my channel, and I had like 7 pets. And even back then, I think I put like meet all my pets, all 7 or 9 or whatever it was back then. And I say 50 plus pets because that's quite literally what it is. And I know I don't have to include that, but I know that most people see a large number like that and think it's shocking. And I think that it's going to cause people to click on it, which it does. But does that mean I'm promoting or glamorizing having a lot of animals? No. I often make videos about why you shouldn't own a lot of the pets that I have. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but in my opinion, when someone sees a video, let's say titled, Meet All My Pets 100 plus, I don't really think the first thing that comes to their mind is, wow, I want to have 100 pets too. Let me go buy 100 animals, you know? I just think to most people that does sound absolutely insane. And that's why I think people click on it. I don't think people click on it because they want to copy me. And that's not to say there isn't anyone that I have maybe influenced indirectly to want to have a lot of different types of animals. But for the most part, I usually get a lot of comments on those videos that say like, I have no idea how you do this. I could never take care of that many animals. Or like, I wish I could take care of that many animals, but I know that I can't. And to me, that's just like the common sense thing that most people would think. Not saying everyone is going to think that way. There might be people who are like, wow, I'm going to go try that now too. But at the end of the day, it's your responsibility as an individual to make responsible decisions and to know your own limits. And if you choose to go out and purchase a bunch of animals because you saw that I did, to me, that's not on me. Like, that's just your own responsibility as a human being. And if you make that mistake and you buy too many animals and you end up being overwhelmed and you can't take care of them all, that's on you. And it's your own responsibility to just know your limits and not do that. Like, I feel like all the time I see content creators, not necessarily animal ones, but just in general, doing things that I think are really cool, but I'm like, wow, I could probably never do that. But if I went out and decided to try and do it anyways, and I failed miserably, that would not be the content creator's fault. That would be my fault. Like, you know, there are animal YouTubers that I watch, for example, who have highly venomous snakes like vipers or cobras, and I think that's really cool. They handle them and stuff really well, and they are really awesome animals that I would love to own. But am I gonna go buy like a rattlesnake or a cobra? No, because I think that would be very stupid of me. And if I did go out and decide to do that and I end up getting bit from it and losing my hand or something, I'm not gonna blame the content creator who made videos about those animals. I would only have myself to blame for putting myself in that situation. And sure, if I made videos with a bunch of animals and I was like, yeah, having so many animals is so cool, it's so easy, I think you guys should go out and buy a bunch of animals too. Sure, you could say that I'm glorifying it and promoting it and trying to get people to do the same thing, but that's quite literally the opposite of what I do here on my channel. I personally have a lot of animals because I can take care of them all. Kind of shifts us into the next points that she makes. She said that she thinks that people who get a lot of animals and do videos like this, she called it like a race to the bottom, because she thinks it's a competition to see who can get the most views, who can get the most animals, and be the most shocking and make the most shocking content. She said that making content about animals should be more about having quality care and enclosures and not the amount of animals that you have.
They know that they have to seem like they have more and more and more animals than the next person in order to get those views and in order to stay relevant, which to me really just feels like a race to the bottom. And I say bottom because having a lot of animals is not like something to be achieved, you know? I think having animals that are cared for in a quality way and have really good enclosures and have happy, fulfilling lives is the big thing to be achieved. So
he believes that making content like this reduces the animals down to just being objects to us.
it does really, for me, send the message that these animals are just being reduced to objects or a means to an end, which is kind of sad.
And something that she specifically said, and this is pretty much a direct quote, was she said, "I am not confident that someone who has that many animals is able to properly care for them."
I am not confident, as someone who has experience in this area, that someone who has that many animals is able to properly care for all of them.
Now, going back to when she said, I'm not calling out anyone specifically, to me, if you're gonna show thumbnails from my video that says, you know, meet all my pets, all 50, and then you're gonna say, you know, I'm not confident that someone who has a lot of animals can't take care of them all properly, how am I supposed to believe that that's not about me or directed at me or the other creators whose videos you used as an example of people who have a lot of animals? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if I'm just losing it here a little bit or something, but I just feel like if you're going to show my videos and other people's videos and then say it's a race to the bottom and it's not about keeping animals with quality care and it's more about a competition and they're just objects to us, to me you're talking about us. Like, who else are you talking about other than the people whose thumbnails you put in your video? And again, you're just assuming that anyone who has a lot of animals can't properly care for them, which just isn't true. Speaking for myself, I have, including all of our geckos, which of course we have a gecko breeding business, so that's part of my job, is breeding geckos and having a lot of them. I have around probably 60 or more at this point, so that makes up at least half of the animals that I have, if not more than half. I can confidently say that all of my animals are in really nice enclosures, like above minimum, lots of enrichment, very well thought out. A lot of them, most of my animals, I would say at this point, are in like bioactive setups to some degree, or at least naturalistic setups. although when I say I have 50 or 100 plus animals, it's really shocking. It's not like I have like 100 dogs or 100 rabbits or something like that. Like in that case, yeah, that would be alarming. But when you actually break down the animals that I have, it's like, okay, like I said, 60 of them are geckos, and it's part of my business. So there's 60 of them, at least. I have, I think, 12 snakes, personally, not including Maddie's animals. I have around 12-ish tarantulas, and then I have a few other inverts. I also include my isopod colonies in my pet count, and my roach colonies, and, you know, like, most of my invertebrates eat like once a week. My snakes eat some of them once a week, some of them even less than that. So a lot of the animals I have, I consider to be relatively low maintenance. And what Jenny also talks about in her video is her experience with having a lot of animals, and she personally felt overwhelmed and she felt like she had to rehome them. So she rehomed a lot of her animals. I think it takes a lot to acknowledge the fact that you have more than you can handle and to actually rehome them. Like, that's really selfless, and I think that that's really awesome that she did that. But with that being said, everyone has different limits. Not everyone is going to be overwhelmed with, let's say, 20 animals. Not everyone's going to be overwhelmed with 50 animals. That's going to depend on a lot of different factors about someone's lifestyle, their income, what job they have, how much free time they have. There's just so many factors that go into how many pets someone may or may not have time for. Taking care of them is just my job. Like, that's just what I have time to do all the time. So I personally never feel overwhelmed by the amount of animals I have. I know my limits, and I'm not going to let myself reach those limits. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Like, I take good care of my animals. I'm constantly doing things to improve their care, and I'm just not overwhelmed personally. It's just weird to me to assume that anyone who has a lot of animals can't properly care for them, because that's just not the case. Like, it just depends what kind of animals they have and what kind of limits that specific person has. At the end of the day, I think as long as all of the animals are being cared for, you should be able to have as many as you want. Like, who cares? It's not really up to you to say you're not allowed to have a lot of animals if they're all being cared for. Now, if they're all being neglected and abused, then sure. Yeah. But I don't know. And that's not to say that there aren't any YouTubers out there who have a lot of animals and neglect them or don't take good care of them or are just using them for views. Like, I'm not saying that what she's saying about those things is necessarily wrong all of the time, because I don't watch every single animal YouTuber out there. I don't know everyone personally. I'm just mostly speaking for myself and the people that I do know, because I know a lot of the people that she used their thumbnails. And it's like, okay, if there are people out there who do that, like use their thumbnails, don't use my thumbnail as an example. She mentioned that also there are YouTubers who, some of them will get a pet, make as many videos as they can with it, and then get rid of it and get something else and just cycle through pets like that. And yeah, I agree with you there. Like, that's absolutely terrible. If there are people out there who do that, then that's just disgusting. And you should have used their thumbnails as an example. Maybe you did. I don't know. But I can personally say that I've never done anything like that. And a lot of the other people that you did use as an example in your video don't do that. I mean, that's not a point that I disagree with. Like, that's really bad. But I can honestly say that I've never done that. And then to kind of end it off, she said that she thinks that in order for Pettube to move into a better direction, people need to start supporting channels that have fewer animals.
I don't want to end this video without telling you guys something I think we can do to start moving in a better direction, which is support pet channels that have fewer animals. And you can decide for yourself, you know, if you don't want to follow my advice, don't follow my advice. It's fine. We can all have different opinions and still get along and coexist in the same space. This is just my opinion, and if you agree with me, something that I think you can do to realize this better direction that we want to move in is to support channels that have fewer pets.
So it's like, okay, you're saying that you're not directing anything at me and you're not talking about anyone specifically, but also stop supporting channels that have a lot of animals and only support channels that have fewer animals. Like, obviously what you're doing is you're telling people to stop watching my channel. Stop watching Snake Discovery. Stop watching, you know, Emma, Maddie, everyone else whose thumbnails you used because we have a lot of animals, is what you're saying. And to me, what the message should be is stop watching channels who don't take care of their animals. Stop watching channels that spread misinformation, or stop watching channels who neglect their animals. It shouldn't matter the amount of animals the channel has, because there are some channels who have only a few animals that are not well taken care of at all. But then there are channels who have a ton of animals that are taken wonderful care of. Like, there's just no correlation to me between having a lot of animals and whether or not they're cared for. And I don't know why you would want to draw people away from channels just because they have a lot of animals, even if the animals are well taken care of. I guess just as a conclusion, I just want to say that, I mean, I don't know, you guys can let me know your opinion, but to me it did, although she said she wasn't specifically calling anyone out, it did very much seem like she was specifically calling out a lot of people. Especially, you know, like I said a billion times, she used specific thumbnails from specific people. And it's like, if you don't want to call anyone specifically out, you could have made a really good productive video and started a conversation about how you personally experienced getting a lot of animals and then getting in over your head and being overwhelmed and having to rehome them because you didn't feel like you were taking good care of them, and spreading awareness and trying to let people know that they need to be careful to not fall into anything like that. And you didn't have to call people out specifically or use people's specific thumbnails or video titles. You could have just said, you know, I personally, it rubs me the wrong way when people say meet all my pets 100 plus. Could have just said that without including thumbnails with people's faces in them. And it just very much paints my channel and a lot of other channels in a really negative light, as if we're really terrible influences because we make videos about getting new pets or about the amount of pets we have. And although maybe I have, like I said, indirectly encouraged people to get more animals than they should have, which again, I personally don't think should be completely put on me just because I have a lot of animals, but I personally think I've had more of a positive impact. And all the other channels I'm speaking about as well, I'm not just trying to be on a high horse and talk about myself. I'm talking about a lot of people who I know personally and a lot of just the other big influential creators on this platform, I believe have much more positive impact than negative. I think people like to talk about the negative impact that we have by saying we're animal hoarders and that we promote animal hoarding. But what we talk about so much on our channels is being responsible pet owners and not impulse buying animals, and the proper care of animals, and promoting a higher standard and getting animals from better sources. I've had so many people comment on my videos and say things like, hey, thank you so much. Like, I used to keep my betta fish in like a little vase and now I know how to properly take care of them. Or I used to keep a hamster in a little tiny cage and now I keep it in like a big tank. Or, you know, things like that. I used to give my bearded dragon like the wrong thing and now I'm doing this properly. Like, I've had so many people say that they found their love for animals and like went into zoology because of me, or veterinary school, or they like, you know, want to start an animal rescue. There's just so much good influence that's happening there. And of course, I think people are always going to have positive and negative reactions to anything. But to act like we're these people who see animals as objects and numbers and pawns to get views and interaction. So yeah, I mean, I think that's basically all the points that I wanted to make. Again, absolutely no hate to Jenny. These are just my honest opinions and my honest, genuine reaction to it as someone who was spoken about in this video. And again, I know she says that she wasn't calling me out specifically. Like, I really don't think she maybe wanted me to feel this way, but I just don't know how I wouldn't when you're showing my video and then telling people don't watch channels with a lot of animals. People who have a lot of animals cannot possibly take care of them all. Like, saying all of those things right after showing my thumbnails. You know what I'm saying? Like, how am I not supposed to think that that in some way is directed at me? You can't just like do that and then say, oh no, that's not directed at you. Because it obviously is to some degree. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of defend myself a little bit and say like, yeah, I have a lot of animals, but my intention never has been and never is to promote animal hoarding, which again, I don't like using that. I don't like promoting people buying animals on impulse. That's why I speak against it so much. And I try to promote a high standard of care. And again, I have nothing personal against Jenny, no ill will. Hopefully we can be on good terms, but this just wasn't a video that was appreciated because obviously it did seem very directed at me, and there are also people who have been tagging me and other creators in this and sending it to us. So obviously other people are probably kind of seeing it as being directed at us as well, and I think it just paints us in a negative light that doesn't actually very accurately represent us as content creators. But overall, I do think it's an important conversation to be had to spread awareness about the fact that you need to not get in over your head when you are getting pets, because it can be almost addicting to get a lot of pets because it's really exciting and really cool, but you don't want to get more than you can handle. And I understand a lot of people experience that, and that is something that should be talked about, so hopefully more people can think twice about it. But to put that sort of blame on other content creators, or to assume that those content creators are also people who are neglecting their animals, is just taking it a little bit too far, for me in my opinion, as someone who has a lot of animals, and not a lot of people can relate to me on that degree with having a lot of animals, I know, so maybe not a lot of people will see my point of view in this, but needless to say, I mean, like I said a billion times, I just felt like I had to kind of defend myself. So yeah, I mean, that's all I wanted to say. I'm just kind of rambling at this point. So thank you guys for watching and hearing me out. And with that being said, literally the next video I was going to post was a Meet All My Pets video, ironically, that I filmed about a week ago. So stay tuned for that, because I'm still going to be posting it, because it was it's just my most recommended video that you guys wanted to see. And so I'm going to be doing a video showing you guys all the animals I have. It will probably be the next thing I post, so make sure to check that out, and I will see you guys in my next video.